And what does it mean to get Swamiji in our life? This is reason number 4 is getting Swamiji in our life means he is making all the decisions for us. He is not like there is at one level. Swamiji says, if you are a devotee, every time I do something for you, you have to ask me. Like I don't have permission to do everything for you. It's because he respects the individual decisions. So only if you allow Swamiji to do things for you, he will do it. You ask him. This is a matter of the individual asking for the cosmos to do something for him. But Sarvajnapeetam is one where you give him permission to do what is right for you without asking you. Right? That is such a beautiful space. And I want to share some experiences in this Sarvajnapeetam. Right? During COVID, it so happened that this is an example of how he gives attention to each person. And each and every person, doesn't matter. Of course, he's at every moment working with the entire cosmos. But at every moment, there is a personal attention that he's giving and giving us advice. And during COVID, my dad actually, he had cancer. He was going through surgery. One thing he told us, even before COVID started, he said, Mukta, get your dad away from India. Right? It's going to be very bad in India. It's going to get worse. Just get your parents away from here, and from there, they will be safe here. And I didn't understand at the time why he was telling. I mean, this is a personal thing he is telling, right? And I was telling my parents, you should come away, you should come away. Then suddenly, one day we found out that my dad actually was diagnosed with cancer. And obviously, there is such a struggle on how the care happens in India versus how the care happens here. Obviously, Swamiji knew about it, and he's telling us. And during COVID, getting hospital care is so difficult. There is lockdown everywhere. You can't even go out in the car. You have to go to the hospital. It's such a huge problem. When you go to the hospital, there is so many protocols. Like some people go to the hospital, get COVID there in the hospital, right? Now, then I realized how much personal attention Swamiji pays to us and takes care of us. And I remember that when my dad was like going through chemotherapy and radiation, he was close to death. One day, like we all thought, okay, this is it. He's going to die. And I'm telling you, that day, Swamiji called and said, I want to talk to your mom. And he directly told my mom, I give you my assurance that I will save your husband, right? So it is that level of attention that Swamiji gives, personal attention he gives to each and every one of us. And this is what means by having Swamiji in your life. How many people have an avatar who takes care of your everyday life, day to day, and gives you advice on things that you have to do? It's such an amazing space to be in. That is what it means to get him. You give you and you get him. So we have Peter who's joined us. Welcome, Peter. So Peter, can you say a little bit about your experience becoming a Sarvajnapeetam Yajaman, and also how you chose to go from Yajaman to Karta? Give a little bit of, share a little bit of your experience.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Sri Mukta. So, how I became the initial decision to become an SJP was not a straightforward, simple decision for me because I had a lot of incompletions and patterns around money and wealth. But fundamentally, it was I got signs from Cosmos that it's something I should do, and it's something if I really stretched myself, I could do, but it would require doing things I wasn't planning to do with my finances, you could say. And then I just got clear that I just want to be with Swamiji and I want to be with his mission, and that is like the real security that will that is the real security that is available really in this whole life. there's people with millions and billions of dollars, but they feel deeply insecure inside, right? And they feel, if my $60 billion goes to $59 billion, that's the end of me, right? There's a very famous billionaire, Ambani, that people probably know of, who went from $49 billion to $0 billion, right? While his brother stayed wealthy, right? And it just killed him inside, right? So even $50 billion is not a real security, right? So what is 200,000 or whatever types of figures we're talking about? That cannot be a real security. So I kind of got that click, and I said, okay, fine, let's do it. And then I did SJP, and then that really changed my worldview. It was like every time you step into what Swamiji makes available, suddenly your whole horizon changes. So then my feeling around wealth really shifted, and suddenly I started making more money, and I started getting. I work as an emergency physician. I started getting more jobs, and jobs that were paying, better, and I basically attended all Swamiji's programs that I could when he was physically there. So I was somehow able to make it all work, and then I got very clear. I would be from SJP to Karta wasn't something I was really thinking of, but then I got very clear guidance on a certain investment, and I was like when Lakshmi tells you to do something, you should just do it, right? And so then I did it, and it could be considered as like a risky investment, but when you're guided by the divine, then there's no risk, right? Because even if it fails, then you're meant to go through that, right? If it succeeds, then you're meant to have that, right? So then there's nothing to worry about when you're following divine guidance, right? So I put everything into this one investment, and it went really big, and suddenly I was able to I could do Karta, right? And then at the time I declared that I wanted to do Karta, but I wanted to do it later because I didn't want to. I'd never had like real wealth before, and I didn't feel like I wanted to part with it at that time. I was very cozy with it, you could say. And so I got a clear sign. Oh, this is the time to do it, and I was very reluctant. Although I wanted to do it, when it was when it felt nice to me to do it, you could say, right? And then instantly when I was pausing, I watched the investment go dun, 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 dun. And it got to the point where if I didn't do it, it may fall so much that I couldn't do it at all. And I knew, at a higher dimension, hey, this gift was given to you by Swamiji, and now you return it, and then the next bigger gift will come, right? But at the level of the ego, is just like, oh, I'm not used to getting these gifts. I don't know how to handle them. And then I want to cling to them, right? And so how Kalabhairava operates, we all know, when you cling, then he'll have to take away, right? So that process was happening, and I said, okay, fine, go, let's do it. And so then, and it was right when I was buying a house and moving and all that. So it was a very intense time. But I ended up becoming Karta a couple of years ago. And it was, there's, once you're, however we may feel about ourselves this time, that time, or whatever, when you're in Swamiji's family, then you're in Swamiji's family, that's all. He'll be with you no matter what, right? So then there's no insecurity after that. So from the time I did Karta, I just know I'm with him very powerfully, and he's with me very powerfully. And then, that's the story to Karta.
Yeah, that's really awesome. That's a great story. I wanted to share a little bit here. I know we talked a lot about Sarvajnapeetam. I know many people talk about Yajaman, Karta. I just wanted to share with everybody what that means. I think a donation of $21,000 to KAILASA makes you a Sarvajnapeetam manifester, which means you're getting into the space of manifesting something, everything in your life, right? And 200,000 US dollars, it makes you a Sarvajnapeetam Yajaman. $1 million in contribution, which is what Peter talked about, that makes you a Sarvajnapeetam Karta. And then 10 million contribution is Sarvajnapeetam Ishwara. Right. One question we always have is, why is money associated with being a Sarvajnapeetam? I think the key thing is, like I said before, people who are Sarvajnapeeta are people who want to be part of this real world, part of this outside world, material world, not be an Adinavasi. And obviously, being part of this material world, manifesting wealth is part of the core part of how you exist in this world and how you live, right? And that is why it is the easiest way for us to understand what Sarvajnapeeta means. But I'll be honest and straightforward. And like Peter was saying, it is nothing to do with money. The space of being a Sarvajnapeeta has nothing to do with money, right? It is everything to do with giving up who you are to get more of what Swamiji is, which is what Peter was talking about. He was like, let me give up what he gave me and then I'll get more, right? It's giving up who you are to get more of Swamiji himself, more till you become Paramashiva himself. So I know a lot of questions. One of the questions, by the way, I want every one of you who's watching today, please put your questions on Zoom or YouTube or wherever you are, and we'll answer those questions. We already have received a few questions while this discussion was happening, so I'm going to ask the question. One question that is asked is, I don't have money. How do I become Sarvajnapeeta, member of Sarvajnapeeta? Actually, I want to invite Ma Govinda Priya here. She has a great story about that. Ma, can you share your experience of manifesting money to become a Sarvajnapeeta?
Nithyananda, everyone. My name's Govinda Priya. And yes, oh gosh, I don't know where to start. Like, if I start from where when I wanted to be SJP, I was actually in my bedroom and I was watching the Kalavada by Darshan, and I heard the words, "Make your declaration now." And so I did. I just declared I would be a SJP Yajaman. And I thought, I can do this. I'd love to be a part of the founding fathers. Like, I looked at my life and I just knew, just deep inside, when you have something deep inside you that you can't even explain, that you knew that that's what you wanted to do. And that's what I wanted to do. And so that's how I started that, to be SJP. But my journey, I didn't have the money. I did not have 200K USD, which is equivalent to about 300,000 Australian dollars where I am. And I had very little money in my account. I just had over $1,000. And I just started up a small business. And I thought, okay, do I wait until I get 200K? And I don't know when that 200K was going to come in. I just don't know. Or do I start giving now? Do I start now? So I just thought, let me start. Just let me start. So I started contributing to our Sangha in Melbourne. And I started with $100 a week, which actually was my financial limit at the time. Then I went to $200, then $500, then $1,000, then $2,000. And that was within a very, very short period. That was probably about a month. And it didn't stop there. I was starting to do Parapuja to Lavaram. I was starting to be able to contribute to the local Sangha. The possibilities just kept on coming. And I even got to contribute $50,000. That was for my taxes. So I just went jumping and I just contributed that. So when I did the $50,000, I got a Guruvak, and the Guruvak was to do the Rudram for 3 months. And by Guru Purnima, I will be SJP. And so that's what I did. But 24 hours before Guru Purnima, I had $189,000 outstanding. And so I went into my bedroom with my computers and I stayed in there. And I was just looking at all ways to how do I get this money? And after several hours, I went out to my husband. He was in the lounge. And I went to him twice, actually. And I said to him, can I have some money? And he said, no. He just, no. You know, normally before I was with Swamiji, I would have thrown a tantrum. I would have stomped my feet and I would have pulled tears. I would have created a bit of a tantrum there if my husband didn't agree. But what I did was I went back to my room and I continued contacting various places of how to access the money. And then a few hours later, my husband walked in and he said to me, okay, you can have $30,000 from here. So I rushed around, got that $30,000. And then right before I got all the money, I still needed $8,000. You know, at the start of that day, I needed $189,000. I was down to I needed $8,000. And my husband walks in and he says to me, how much do you need? I said, I need $8,000. And he showed me his bank account and there was $8,000 in his bank account. And so he gave me that money. And, you know, this was 10 hours before Guru Purnima. I had all the money and I just needed to transfer it over to KAILASA. So, you know, like it was a magical day. There was no excuses. And it started only 3 to 4 months earlier. And all I did was made one declaration. I took the action. I had the will persistence till it was done. And it was my number one priority. So, yes,
That's awesome. That's a great story, Ma. I think this is a key example of how SJP is not about having money to give. It's having the intention and then money flows through you, right? It's a great story. Thank you. The audiences are asking questions. I want to answer a couple before we move forward. First question is Angelica Agora asking, what does Sarvajnapeetam mean? Sarvajnapeetam, the word literally means it's the all-knowing spiritual seat of knowledge. That is Sarvajnapeetam. And in that seat of knowledge, there is the incarnation who is sitting, the Jagat Guru. Jagat Guru means the Guru of the whole world, who is sitting in that seat to protect and radiate the Sanatana Dharma and Hinduism for all of civilization. So this is Sarvajnapeetam. In fact, this is a promise made in fact, Sri Krishna made this promise in Bhagavad Gita, and it's a promise made by Paramashiva to this cosmos, that whenever and wherever there is a decline of spiritual practice, I will be there to reestablish Dharma, right? So Sarvajnapeetam is that seat from which an avatar protects the core civilizational nation of enlightenment. And part of that is 3 main parts of it. One is the philosophy and knowledge, the Vedic wisdom, which needs to be shared. The second is the sacred arts, architecture, temples, all of that, which is the institutions which protect the science. And then the language and the culture and lifestyle. So Sarvajnapeetam protects all of these 3, and that is what we are giving towards. I hope that's a good explanation of what Sarvajnapeetam is. But please ask more questions. Then Ma Poonam Yadav is asking, what does SJP Manifestor mean? Yeah, SJP Manifestor is when you contribute $21,000 as a way to start your SJP journey, right? Why is it called a manifestor? Because you have taken this intention to manifest unlimited wealth in your life, right? And wealth, of course, comes in many forms, but it's a way to manifest unlimited. You have taken the intention to manifest unlimited wealth in your life and be part of the Sarvajnapeetam Swamiji's mission. That's what being a manifester means. Okay. Then actually follow up to Govinda Priya about what does it mean. Like one of the questions I'm asked here is, my family does not uh, approve of me contributing to Sarvajnapeetam. How do I work with them? For this question, I want to ask Ma Sonali Gupta to share her experience. Ma Sonali, could you share your experience?
Absolutely, Aya. Thanks, and wonderful sharing from everyone. So I'll just start by saying that when I met Swamiji for the first time, I had a very strong click that I want to be a Sarvajnapeetam Yajamans. So I held that strong desire from the very beginning. And this was in 2016 when I attended the first Inner Awakening. But the reason, I wasn't very sure why, but I knew I wanted to be closer to kind of Swamiji. And logically, I can explain that, if I use my logical mind, my reason was that he was standing for Hinduism, and he said, I want to make a statement that Hinduism is real. So I knew that this was the best use of my money after I go, right? Like, where else can I invest money that can do better for the world? So logically, that was my reason. But I think there was something more than just the logical explanation, and I just wanted to become a Sarvajnapeetam Yajaman. But at that time, when I kind of made the jump to be with Swamiji and become his devotee, I could not get my family along. My husband was not kind of convinced, and he was not a devotee. So I knew that, before I could become a Yajaman, I wanted to kind of bring my family along. And, I was holding on to that for a few years. I was, I think now I say that there's no right or wrong way of doing it. At that time, I was, of course, trying to find out, like, in this situation, what's the best way to navigate and still do what I wanted to do. But I realized, like, at some point, when I was not able to convince my husband, he was not a devotee, and how do I even explain him when he doesn't even have the full context of, who Swamiji is or what he's trying to revive? How do I explain him that what is Sarvajnapeetam? And this was just something I could not, kind of get him to understand or talk to him about. So I waited for some time. I thought, eventually things would turn out and he would come along. But then once, I had this click, and it happened sometime during COVID. I kind of had a little bit of a situation where I kind of lost my job, or I was looking for, another job, and the market was a bit bad. And I realized, like, the obstacles never stop coming our way, right? There was I was already dealing with one situation where I had to kind of convince my family, and now I have this other situation. And that time I had a very strong click. I thought before all of these things start coming my way, I just wanted to go ahead and do it despite all of these obstacles. I just went ahead despite that. And I just kind of knew that if I have the right cosmic intention, the how doesn't matter. It's the what and the why. And that was very clear. I wanted to just do it. And before things become more difficult, I just wanted to take that step. So once I just made a declaration that I will become a Sarvajnapeetam Yajaman. And at that point, I think within a week, I kind of, I had barely done 5,000, which was the initial, used to be the initial, like, minimum amount you kind of get to get your journey started. And I went from 5,000 to the 200,000 in a week. And I just made that step. And in the back of my mind, I knew, like, if I am taking that step to move one step closer to Swamiji, when life is throwing that obstacle, Swamiji will take care. So he will take care of all of that. And things did, and I kind of know that there's, like, things did work out. And, of course, like, Swamiji has said in a couple of satsangs that either you let life teach you, or, you let Guru teach you. And I always feel like learning from the Guru, and Swamiji has said that, is this more sweeter and more is nicer way of kind of, learning. Otherwise, life will teach us, because we are all here to learn and expand. And until we reach that Paramashivoham and realize our true potential, things will keep coming for us to learn. So at that point, when I knew that there's a second obstacle and, things might look more difficult and I may not be able to take that step, I went kind of beyond the conventional wisdom of saying, let me just get my family along, then let me, figure out my job situation, get my financial situation in a secure, stable place. I went against that conventional wisdom and did it anyways. And of course, Swamiji takes care, and things worked out, and it always works out with Swamiji. But it's really what step we take or how we think about dealing with that challenge when things come our way. I think everyone has their own way. And I know there are people who kind of work and sit down and talk to their family, bring them along. That's also perfectly fine. But it is I want to emphasize that it is the what and the why that is so much more important than how we do it. And that's the click I only had when I went through that situation. There's another kind of, thing that Swamiji has shared in one of the satsangs, which I kind of relate very well with, was Karna, right? For those who don't know, Karna is kind of known for being a Danveer Karna. He was known for his generosity and being a great giver, right? So Swamiji was sharing his story that once he was just sitting there with a golden oil cup in his left hand, and an old Brahmin came to ask for something. And Karna at that point did not even think twice. He just took the golden oil cup and gave it to the old Brahmin. And as per the conventional wisdom, or the way kind of ritualistically dana was supposed to be given, you always give dana with your right hand. You never give it with the left hand. But the reason he just went ahead and did it anyways, instead of getting caught into this conventional right way of doing it, was because he knew that mind can come in the way. By the time he changes from left hand to right hand, his mind might come up with a reason to not give. So he did not want mind to come in the way and just gave it anyways. So for someone who was, that known for being so generous, also knew how mind plays. So that resonated very well with me when I kind of heard Swamiji say that, because there's always fears in the form of either external situations or internal fears that can come and stop. So it's important to understand that mind has its way of playing, but then how we deal with that in that situation, or how you don't let mind come in the way of the principle you stand for, or what you think is the most important thing to do is really kind of important. So that story resonated very well, and I kind of related to that later, that the how is not so important.
Yeah, I love what you said. I think the key thing is there are other questions I'm getting. One is that my family isn't agreeing to my contribution. What should I wait for their agreement or proceed anyway? I have funds, but I'm held back by insecurity, fear. Any insights on taking the leap? I think you answered those questions. First, one of the things you said is it's not about, we can't tell anybody do this or do that. That's not about the action. It's about the space in which you operate, right? The space tells you what's the right way to act. And so again, going back to the other point, what does it mean when you operate from a space of ego or you don't know how to act. Your mind gets in the way. And so acting quickly, and this is one of the things I would tell everybody here. The website to go to is sksjp.org. That's Sri KAILASA Sarvajnapeetam.org, sksjp.org. You will get more information, and there also you can click on a link there to become part of a Sarvajnapeeta. Please do so. The key thing is do it immediately. Don't wait. If you let your mind come in the way, it is going to give you 1,000 reasons. Money is just one reason. Family is just another reason. So people who don't have money, call that as a reason. People who have money say, oh, my family is objecting. That's another reason. People who have the money, have the families, okay, may think, oh, maybe is this the right time? I need to take care of this and that and all that. So your ego is finally the problem. And that is why Swamiji, the idea is you drop your ego, you drop yourself, and what you get back is infinitely bigger, right? So acting immediately is very, very important. So there's another question that I have is, somebody's asking, I have funds saved for future purposes, retirement, children's education. What should I do? Should I consider using that for SJP? Again, like I said, it is not about the money. These are all questions that are focused so much on the money part. It is all about what is it that you want to do with your life in growing spiritually. In this, Marupa Iyer just joined us, and Marupa has a son. who's in college. So I want Marupa Iyer to, address this issue and share a little bit about how she jumped in and became a Sarvajnapeetam Yajman.
Sure, yeah. Actually, yeah. So for me, I've been with Swamiji from 2006. So I've seen him like when Sangha was very small and then has grown, exploded now with KAILASA. I was like fortunate to be very close to him too, like attend his programs where he was conducting the very early programs. So what I've got caught out of a thread is like the way he operates, right? Like he really doesn't really think. He just commits and he does work, right? And for me in my life too, actually, I hardly even used to talk to him. So, but still he's like behind me. He's like, Ma, I love you. I support you. And who else will tell? Like that is something new for me, right? With all the materialistic world that we are in, marriage, everything, right? So, kids, like there's nobody as a woman. Actually, I haven't seen anybody telling. So that was very interesting for me. It's like, okay, there's something here, and he's so blissful. But actually, Mukta, I saw you. I was hearing what you're saying, right? Like when we give something, he will give it like multiple folds. It was one incident that happened. It's very early. I had a yellow daisy flower which bloomed for the first time, and I was so happy. And then I was so attached to that flower because it's the first time it's flowering. It's yellow color, and I just that's when I was connected to Swamiji. I was like, okay, let me pick this flower and take it to satsang, right? And we used to have a satsang in Seattle. And I was like, let me offer to Swamiji. It was very interesting. When I took that flower, every day the Sangha members will bring the flowers, they will offer it. But that day there was no flower. And I picked the flower that I offered. Everybody was surprised. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, you got one. I was like, it just looked like some telepathy, right? And then when I offered, when I came back home, I just felt happy that because it was offered to Swamiji. When I came back home, my neighbor came with a bouquet full of yellow roses to me. And that has happened for the first time in my life. I was like stunned to see like, oh my God, you offer one to divine and then divine comes with a bouquet of roses, and the joy that I have in me, right? Is like, that is something which has not happened to me at all. And that is what was like signals again and again that happened to me when I was associated with Swamiji. So in 2015, I think Shivoham, like this is even before anything started about Sarvajnapeetam Yajamans, right? Very early, it was a casual conversation. Swamiji just talked about his vision of Sarvajnapeetam, just like that. And few of us, we don't even know, but this thread of like holding on to what he does, like the trust in him, right, is like basically we know that he doesn't ask anything for himself, right? It is for the planet, it is for the entire universe. It's the oneness that he holds us in. I was like, I'm a Krishna devotee. Before meeting Swamiji, Krishna only connected me to Swamiji because I was praying to Krishna, show me a guru. And the first darshan that Swamiji came in was in Krishna's costume, and he danced like Krishna, and that's how I got connected. Right? And when Swamiji talked about Sarvajnapeetam, this unknown voice inside me, which is Krishna's voice, right? It came in and it said like, don't stop, just say yes, right? Just say yes, take the mic and say yes. And that's all I did, right? There's nothing much to think. And after that, mind comes in, it's like, hey, you said yes, that there's family. But I was like, one thing, even now, I learned in the entire journey is not to think. I don't think anymore, like stop thinking. Because Swamiji runs your life. Even in office work, like I don't think. That has improved my potential, right? And same with money. It's like it just has become like one more utility, right? Like where you can manifest. The more we think, it's just the logic that comes in and spoils the whole thing. And I would say the gist of it is like stop thinking. And coming back to my son, as he's in high school, he's 15 years, he's in high school, he's getting ready to preparing for his college in US. It's a beautiful journey, right? Like when I saw you saying as well, right? When we really commit to Swamiji's mission, it's purely that, right? Something that we can offer, right? What is that we can offer? We can't offer anything. So something only for our own satisfaction. I think it's more for our own, like something for us to verbalize, saying that, hey, we're offering to him. So when I signed up to be SGPY and contributed, I could see the shift happening in my son. Like, he's a teenager. He in the morning, without doing Shiva Puja, Nitya Puja, Guru Puja, Shiva Puja, he doesn't even eat anything. He doesn't even, like, he will go to school starving if he has to. So that is how much he's so ritualistic and also very respectful. He follows the Sanatana Dharma. He respects elders. He is like, I have to learn from him. For me, it's like literally Swamiji is living in the house, because when I do some non-integrated work, he will say like, okay, you are non-integrated here. So he's like, reminds me of like Swamiji being in the house talking all the time. And he's doing fantastic, because even if he has any questions and solutions, like questions, he goes to Facebook and he will ask Swamiji, or even the darshan, he will ask Swamiji, like, okay, this is what I want to do. I plan to do this. And you tell me, he said, this is what he wrote to Swamiji. He's like, your word is ultimate for me. So whatever you say, I will take that route. And Swamiji is like, so nicely, even as a kid, like, right, like, he's like, let me meditate and come back to you. He's not just like, I'm going to give you an answer, right? Like, he is like, say, taking each one of us a conscious, it's a growth for each one of us. So he said, let me meditate and come back to you and give you the solution. And he did that after 20, like, I was stunned with the whole thing, right?
I saw him interacting with Swamiji during Paramashivam, and Swamiji was answering his question. It is so beautiful, right? I mean, this is the personal relationship that we have with Swamiji. At each and every one of us and our family, SJP is a way for us to form that personal relationship. It's one of my 10 reasons to become SJP. So it's a great time to make that point. You don't have to worry about the earlier question. Oh, I have these commitments, I have retirement, I have children. You don't have to worry about all of those things, because Swamiji can take better care of them than you can. And that's what he's doing. So yeah, really beautiful sharing, Ma. Thank you so much. I have another question from Fabio Chen Lim Yem. When you start from €0, almost unemployed, how can you have the space to demonstrate, please? This is a great question. I think wanting to be a Sarvajnapeeta, wanting to be part of Swamiji's mission, what it does is it changes your relationship with wealth, changes your perception of wealth. Today, we have a very linear perception of wealth. That is, oh, I earn $5 an hour. If I want to get 21,000 divided by 5, that is so many hours. Then I have rent, then I have this. That's just such a linear, fear-based relationship with. So I want you to invite people here to talk about how their relationship with wealth has changed. Maybe I'll start with Peter, and then I'll also invite others. Just raise your hand and I'll call on you. Peter, do you want to start? Yeah, next, Mashaya. Can you just talk a little bit about how your relationship with wealth has changed?
Yeah, sure. So actually, when I first did a program with Swamiji, I literally didn't have any money for my first program, and I had to put it on a credit card. And I went to India. This was July 2014, right? And as I said, then I started working more and more afterwards, and money just came more. And I was doing all programs with Swamiji. And the main thing I would say now is I'm not looking. It's like as Mukta was saying, at first it was saying, what are the circumstances where I can get this hourly wage and how that will translate and all that, which is great and important. But then at a certain point you get to, how does the divine want money to come to me, right? So it's not to come to me so I can hold on to it. It's to come to me so I can support the expansion of consciousness. So However, our view is of what is our apparatus to get money to us, is from the ego perspective, and often for many people from a fear perspective or not feeling deserving perspective, right? But when the money is no longer for you, but the money is for our cosmic intelligence, right? Then it just reconfigures the whole thing. So, like we talked about SJP and Karta and Ishvara, right? The bigger the amount that you want to give towards Swamiji's mission, naturally you'll be taken care of as well, right? So people are saying, how can I give money when I don't know if I can pay the rent, right? How can I even think of this when I am living paycheck to paycheck? Well, when you decide, I want money to give to Swamiji, I want money to give to the expansion of consciousness, then the superconscious intelligence will then guide you to things that will take care of you, and then have access that you can give over. It won't feel like that necessarily at the time. You kind of have to take the reach and give it, but then the excess will come to you. So the bigger you want to give towards cosmic intelligence, your whole concept of making money will change, and whole different arenas will open up, and whole different possibilities will open up. So I would just say, like Mukta was saying, if I work this much per hour, is a very linear, logical way. The divine intelligence, I mean, they can literally materialize diamonds. They can bring gems from higher dimensions, right? There's in between working for $10 an hour and diamonds materializing. There are many, many other paths for wealth to come. So it's really for someone who doesn't have a clear sense, with no euros in their bank account or whatever. It's just making a declaration. I want wealth to give to the mission, and I don't know how to do it, right? Like for me, I didn't know how to become a karta, right? Then the divine intelligence comes. Then you say, I want to become Ishwar, then the divine intelligence comes. So it's just surrendering your logical approach to money and saying, this doesn't make sense, but I believe I'm with Swamiji, and Swamiji will make it happen and make it unfold. So I'll just surrender and watch him do his magic, right? And give over my consciousness for him to remake my consciousness with its limited beliefs. So that the divine, the Lakshmi intelligence will then overwrite my beliefs about finances and money and wealth. So all those things will change your relationship to wealth altogether.
I think this is one important point you're making, Peter, that life is not about money, right? Life is driven through fulfillment. The goal of life is fulfillment. And sometimes in the material world, you need that material wealth to flow into you for us to work towards fulfillment, right? Because you have to take care of the regular things that happen in the regular world. I think the key thing here is when you decide to support the cosmos in its mission, then wealth just flows to you. It's a way, because cosmos thinks, hey, we're going to bring fulfillment to the whole universe through this person. And if I flow this material wealth to this person is going to support everybody's fulfillment, right? So we become a multiplier of fulfillment. I think that is the key difference. So I think this is changing our relationship to what wealth is very, very important. I also want to, invite everybody else. I know Machaya, you wanted to share something. Can you?
Yes, I'll be as quick as possible. Because some keywords I don't want to repeat on. One is drop the logic. And I think also, you see, somebody is asking, I think that, if I may say, there is a Poonam Yadav saying, any other way, can I become an SJP without, money? That is because you feel money is not possible, etc. Our biggest problem is that before becoming SJP, we hold on to money. We think that money is the enabler, which it is not. Money is like, if you have not watched Ma Nitya Govinda Priya, who said, I started with $100 a week. You please watch the replay of this video and watch how she manifested. But one is declaration for sure. You declare with sincerity you want to become an SJP, the means follow. Second is drop logic, because our human logic does not apply. I want to share a small miracle that had happened when we had to do the Bhagavad Gita books. Okay. So all the, Sarvajnapeetam centers were thinking we have to, declaring 1,000 books, etc. How do we raise funds? So Ramana Shri shared her story because, we were in a meeting And she said that, I said, how can I do this? But Swamiji has made me do this. So she said, I spoke to Swamiji and said, Swamiji, now get the funds for this. She said in complete oneness, she left it to him. And it seems she said this, and within a few minutes, she got a call from another devotee who otherwise is never in touch, and calls her and says, Ma, I saw the program and Swamiji has said, I want to donate 500 books. She said, my whole being shook. I could not believe this. That was one. And then she said, okay, but 500 books, where do I store? Then she said, okay, now that Swamiji already did the miracle, I went through my phone. And then she said, I stopped it at whichever devotee's name Swamiji. Then she said that devotee was not someone, who's usually interactive and all and has got other issues. Anyway, finally, she managed to speak to him within a few hours. And he was very, very, in gratitude to Swamiji, and said, to her that I have done my wealth completion. I moved into a 3-bedroom house. And then in the conversation, he says, oh, now I know why Swamiji gave me 3-bedroom house. Because I need only 2. One is for your storage of those books. And there her storage problem gone. Now, in that same call, I was there. Now, I can fund myself, but I said, every time, we can do, but let us have more people come in. But I had not even reached out to anyone with a full space of incompletion that how can I ask? But I got into that same space. I sent a message immediately just to the Sangha group thinking about Swamiji and say, Swamiji, you do that same oneness. Within fraction of seconds, 800 books were sponsored by devotees. First one was 500. So I think the oneness, when we stay in the space of oneness and we declare, means follow, and so many avenues open up. Things we did not know, people are calling, ideas come, so that was my sharing as quickly as possible. Thanks.
Awesome, Ma. Thank you. I just want to remind everybody, the link to become SJP, I think is projected on the screen for you, both on Zoom and YouTube. It's in the scroll. It is govgov.google.sk/SJP payments. That link is being projected. Please go there and sign up. The key thing is I want to revisit, again, any of you have any questions, please keep sharing your questions. We'll answer them. Again, want to go back to what Ma Poonam Yadav said. Is there any other way to become SJP other than money? I think the key thing is there any, become an Adinavasi, right? Dedicate your talent and life to Swamiji. That's a definite way for you to become part of Kailasa. It is just that when we are living in the material world, we want to straddle both worlds, right? And we want to keep, I want to straddle both worlds, but I want to keep my wealth as mine and only give my love to Swamiji. It's like we play this game. SJP is a way for you to give your whole self to that mission, to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, to this. Yes, Ma Rupa, go ahead. You want to share something?
I want to share that if you want to become rich in the material world, you better give money, right? It's like I'm saying, what you give is what you get back, right? That feeling of abundance is a journey of feeling of abundance and coming out of insecurity, right? Insecurity not just with respect to money, with your life itself, right? So that's why I keep saying, right, like stop thinking. Like when I look back now, like the past is pretty much like gets wiped out with Swamiji's journey with Swamiji, right? So it's a journey of like, feeling like secure because Swamiji is there for us. That is what is a journey. I think it's not about the money, but I would say even if you think it's about the money, if you want to become rich, like you need to invest to get something out. If like in the olden times when my parents were a generation, right, they were not even investing. So like, how will they even know what's the value of money? So same Sarvajnapeetam is like when you bring the money out, that's when the unit, like you are working, that money is working for cosmos, right, for the planet. So then if that money, what we donate helps like 100 people, then that's where it multiplies by 100 and comes back to you. So if you want to be rich, I think you deal with money.
Yeah, that's a great point. The problem is in living in the real world, we associate our identity a lot with wealth in one way or the other. It's an unfortunate way in which we work. This reminds me of this beautiful story by Rabindranath Tagore in this poem Gitanjali. there is a beggar who is standing by the side of the road, and he is expecting somebody to come give money, something to him. And in the distance, he sees this magnificent chariot and a prince, a godlike prince standing on the chariot coming towards his direction. And he feels that, oh my God, today is my lucky day. I have this person who's going to come and give something to me. The chariot comes close by, and this godlike figure steps out of the chariot. And then they put out their hand and say, hey, what do you have to give to me? And the beggar is thinking, who is this person who's begging from a beggar? So he says, okay, he searches his begging bowl, takes the smallest grain of rice, and he gives it to puts it in that person's bowl. And then this divine figure gets on the chariot and leaves. At the end of the day, this beggar goes to their hut and he overturns his cup, like the bowl. And when he overturns the cup and he pours everything out, at the bottom of the bowl, he sees one grain of gold, exactly the same size and shape as the grain of rice he gave to that divine being. And that's when he starts crying, and he thinks, why didn't I have the heart to give my all? Right? That's exactly what this is. It's, if we are attached to wealth, then we are still attached to our identity. And that blocks us from getting more wealth. So it's fundamentally changing our relationship with who we are and what wealth means to us. That is really how Swamiji is shifting us by challenging us to be part of Sarvajnapeetam. Here's an other question.
I can add something, Sri Mukta.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. So I wanted to add a little bit on two things. One was that, see, when we come as an Atman, or see, we are part of the Paramatman, the Supreme Soul, right? And we are here on a journey through lifetimes to gain that understanding and the realization of we are, that truly we are one in Advaita with the Paramatman, that we are nothing but the Paramatman. So when we're going through this journey, we come actually equipped with whatever is needed for us to experience what needs to be experienced and understood. So which means whether it is time or treasure or talent or any resource, any support, anything that is needed is already part of you. What the avatar, what the enlightened master, what Swamiji is doing is helping you connect with that reality.
Yeah.
You are looking inward and understanding that that space already exists. You are abundant. You are fulfilled. You are an empowered being, right? So this is something that is being shown to you. Your realizations are coming. So when you go with that, you know that this aspect of wealth or time, people say, oh, I don't have enough time to do the work. I don't have enough, I don't know how to make this happen. And then you start thinking through and saying, if the cosmos is empowered and enable you to go through this journey, definitely the moment you realize and say yes, or you open yourself up, the resources are going to show themselves up to you.
Yeah.
Right? And you just take the jump, the leap of faith, saying, yes, I'm ready. And you will flow through life with all the resources that are meant to you. And if the cosmos or the divine knows that there is the resource that needs to flow through you, the money or the talent has to reach the world, has to get used for a purpose, what is needed for the purpose will manifest for you. There is no other reality of this cosmos, of this universe. And that's a fundamental thing. The other thing that always comes to me is the bond between Krishna and Arjuna. That has been a very central component to how I have connected to Swamiji, and the way he is my mentor, he is my guide. He is the being that I always look up to, whether it is for family, whether it is, at the Los Angeles temple, or whether it is any other aspect of my life, right? And in that, there is one thing that truly stands. See, the Mahabharata war started with, where Arjuna decides to drop his weapons and say, you know what, I just cannot fathom fighting or, going against everybody on the other side who are my family, who are my friends, my colleagues, my gurus, my everything. These are the people that I am supposed to take care of. I am supposed to be there to help and take care of things. And how can I fight? How can I do? Because he knows the moment he fights, they are all going to die. And, he drops his weapons. That's when Krishna comes to the rescue and he says, do you think that I am only taking care of your reality or your dharma? Am I truly only there for you? Don't you realize that if I am taking care of you, I am already taking care of their journey, what they need to manifest, what they need to understand. So the baggage that we carry, thinking that we have to take care of ours, the baggage that we carry through life saying, oh my God, I have to provide, I have to protect, I have to make sure everything is okay, is very egocentric. It's also like being, I am responsible, I am the one having to do everything. But if you step back for a moment and you sit and watch, you understand that you are a mere player in this entire journey. The cosmos is already decided, the universe is flowing, whether you are there or you are not there. But it is how you place yourself and utilize every resource that is being made available to you and which will automatically come to you. In making this journey happen, not just for yourself, it is about learning how to help cause another person's reality. You are not causing realities. You are standing there, you are supporting, you're bringing that presence of the divine and holding the space as each one experiences what they need to experience. This is so powerful for people to internalize. I would say take time to understand how the cosmos flows and functions. Then the resistance, the biases, the distance, the duality will melt and disappear. This is what I would say people need to experience to become Sarvajnapeetam Yajamans or Kartas and so on.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Ma. I want to read a few more comments. Raju Srivastav says, you people have such a great clarity and oneness with Swamiji. It really helps. I'm so glad that our conversation is helping. There is another question. Martha Watson says, is this correct? PETA is 21K, SJP 200K. Let me repeat again. Sarvajnapeetam Manifester is 21K. And that is like you start, if you pay and join Paramashivam program, that's how one of the ways you can start. Then the next is SJP Yajaman, that is 200K USD. And then SJP Karta is 1 million and Ishvara is 10 million. Then there are two related questions. I want to answer them together. Ma Nithyananda Pradayini Ananda says, is this the right space that motivates you to participate intensely, that willingly persistence, and that you do with joy and responsibility? So this question is about what is the right space that helps you participate. There is another question which is related. My question, Ma Shraddha Rupa is asking my question, how to be in the space of manifesting SJP. Wanted to answer these two questions together. See, Swamiji said, if you don't even take responsibility for yourself, you are an animal, right? If you start taking responsibility for yourself, that's when you start becoming human. And only when you start taking responsibility for others, you start becoming divine. So the idea, how do you get into the space of SJP? Start thinking about not just you, but going beyond you to the world. How do you take on more responsibility? Because if you take only responsibility for yourself, the amount of money or wealth that flows to you is only for that. Because you think, oh, if I take care of this, I'll be fulfilled. So it's proportional to the level of responsibility you take. And of course, Swamiji has taken responsibility for the entire cosmos. And that's why everything flows to him, right? So the first inner space is, I want to take responsibility for something more than me. That's when you open up, as long as you hold on to you as yourself, you are shutting out the source from you. When you step outside, away from yourself and say, I am not me anymore, I want to take more responsibility. So the next level is take responsibility for the family. That is one level. But go beyond that. Go to the SJP center near you, temple near the embassy near you. Immerse yourself in volunteering and participating, and have the commitment to become a Yajaman. And if you can, start with being a manifester. Whatever you can start, even if you can start like Govinda Priya said, $100. You could start with that. That is your commitment. So once you say, I want to take responsibility, it's your commitment to being committed, right? That is the most important thing, because you can have the desire, but if you don't have the commitment, then the desire will not manifest. So that I would say is the first step. Is there anyone else who want to add about anything, any first step that you took that made you move forward? Anybody wants to add? Rupa, go ahead.
I would say my first step is saying yes, right? Like that aligns your space, saying yes to this. And another incident I want to talk about, like this is, I think during COVID or right around COVID time, that's when we were talking about, like I heard the talks about KAILASA, Kailasa from Swamiji on Facebook. So I wanted to do the second contribution, right? That intensity came up, like intense desire came up, and I said again, saying yes, right? I want to do it. So where do I get the funds, right? It was like, it was COVID time. So in my puja, when I did the Nitya Puja, I said, Swamiji, I want to give, but you need to tell me, you need to show me, and you need to make it happen. That's all I prayed, to be frank. I don't know how it comes. I know you will make it happen, right? Everything else is unknown to me. So this is my declaration. And then I finished the puja, and then I get a WhatsApp message from my friend Krishna. Remember, I said my Ishtadevata is Krishna. So my friend, he calls me after 1 year. He says like, hey, are you interested in this? Few of my friends are doing some investment. Are you interested in this? Which I never have done this in before, because I was thinking more like, okay, go to job, work, and contribute, right? And any assets or properties you have, sell it. And I was like, okay, now, as I think I saw Peter saying that it's a message from Swamiji, right? The mind says like, don't trust, don't put your money into somewhere else where it's like they might come and take it away. But I just pray to Swamiji, and then I get this message, and I know this friend of mine, and I was like, okay, now let me trust Cosmos, right? It is my prayer, and Cosmos is answering. It's immediately after puja, and then I invested, right? That's when I got introduced to that investor, and his name is actually Gopalakrishna, and he says like, his mission. I was like, why do you want to help all of us? He was like, I want to, my mission is to not just for me to be rich, I want the community around to be rich. That makes me happy, right? So I was like, this looks like a statement from Swamiji's devotee. It's just, he's not, but like I'm saying, like there are a lot of true people who want to really help community out there, right? So, and then he made it happen for me. The second SJP is like, it happened through that investor. And then I was able to contribute to Swamiji. It's like, it's a series of events. I pray, and then I get this message, and then I get this like investor, right? So, and he multiplied the funds, and then he gave it back. It's like, it's very interesting. So that's why I'm like, again and again, the experience is like, it's not anymore linear. So if you want to know how to manifest more wealth, and you want to feel yourself rich, just say yes to this, right?
Awesome. Yeah. This matches with Ma Atma Prema saying, thank you, Ma Rupa, beautiful message. The leap of faith is what is needed. The relationship we have with wealth has already shifted for me. This has given that next shift. Thank you for your sharings. This was incredible. Such gratitude for this session. That's really awesome. Everybody here is doing such a great job. I earlier said something about Paramashivam program. By the way, right now, Paramashivam is completely free. All of you should know, right? So there is no reason why we can't participate in Paramashivam, and there is no reason why we can't commit to becoming a Sarvajnapeeta member of Sarvajnapeeta. Mel Cook says, "Thank you all for sharing. I'm quite new to this feeling connection. You people are amazing. Thank you, Ma. So glad that we could, move that love inside of you." Purna Parolikar says, "Thank you, Ma Muktika. A powerful click for sharing. Awesome." Claire Lang says, "Should we go into debt to contribute?" I think this is, I really want to answer this question. It's absolutely not the right cognition, right? Because debt, to understand wealth, being in debt is to have really a wrong cognition about what wealth is. So wealth is all about what it takes. I think everybody shared just now. Wealth is what makes us fulfilled, and creating wealth is all about going towards fulfillment. And then supporting Sarvajnapeeta is about going beyond you to support Swamiji's vision of the world. So I don't think debt factors into this at all. And if you think of this as going into debt, I think there is absolutely different. You have to think about wealth very, very differently. Is there anyone who wants to add to what I said? You can please jump in and add. Marupa feels like you want to share something. Please go ahead, Ma.
I just want to say one thing. I would say we should change this. Contribute to Sarvajnapeeta. Be a Sarvajnapeeta Yajaman if you want to be wealthy. I would say that would be the punchline, because you need to. We are talking about journey of where you manifesting the abundance, right? So for us to feel wealthy is when we have to contribute to feel wealthy.
Yeah.
That's one thing I would say. Like, that's where the debt and all those things doesn't really come in, because it's about you becoming wealthy. Wealth?
Beautiful thought, Ma. I think it's about only from abundance flows, right? Gratitude flows. So work towards becoming, manifesting wealth and becoming abundant in your life, and that will lead to you contributing. Thinking that I have to go into debt to contribute is actually having a negative view about of wealth in the first place. So please do not encourage thoughts like that. Sriram Nagarajan is asking, how do we draw a line between I have to be responsible and the cosmos is doing? Does anybody want to take this question on?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
So how do we draw a line between I have to be responsible and cosmos is doing? So that's a great opportunity to look at, like, what we are responsible and what we can really control in this life, right? So the main responsibility we can say is we can declare responsibility, right? So for example, for SJP, you can say I declare for SJP, and then the next thing is to declare I am receptive to the cosmos to act through me and make it be done. You can talk to anyone who is doing enriching, or anyone who is doing any seva for Swamiji. They don't feel like they're actually doing. They're making themselves just available, and it'll get done through them, right? So your responsibility is to say, an individual's responsibility would be to say, I want to support Swamiji's mission, and I make myself and my resources, my internal resources, my operating system of my mind and body available. And then cosmos, I give permission and blessings for cosmos to do through me. Actually, there was a specific moment for Karta. I had a big psychological block to sell the investment. And I messaged Swamiji. I said, Swamiji, please act through me and just do this so we can liquidate this and I can become a Karta. Because I didn't feel it went, my individual mindset was in resistance, right? But I knew that it was the right thing to do. And so I just said, I'm giving over my will to you, right? And in many ways, people have talked about why be SJP versus Adinavasi, right? And it's like we're giving over our will to the cosmic will, right? And so what we may do as an individual is small, what we may do as a vessel for the cosmos is much larger. So our main responsibility is really just about surrender, right? Surrendering your will to the divine will. And then you'll see in this process of manifesting and donating to SJP, it's really just surrender is the main thing, right? Tyaga, sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
And surrendering your intention and your will. And then the whole acts will just happen. You'll almost be just watching it like a movie playing out.
I so love what you said about surrender and sacrifice, because I want to share something. The person who is doing sacrifice here, Tyaga, is not us. Actually, we are only sacrificing something we don't have. We're only sacrificing the useless part of us to get Paramashiva back, right? And the person who's really doing sacrifice is the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Swamiji. I mean, look at the amount of persecution he's faced, threat to his life. In spite of all of that, over decades, he is tirelessly working towards benefiting humanity, right? And in spite of all of that, his work towards humanity is not stopped. That is true sacrifice. And for this divine being to come into a limited body and being able to take all of us along, that is ultimate sacrifice. I think what we are giving is not the useless part of us. I want to say this, sometimes being next to Swamiji, you get so many beautiful clicks directly from him. I remember this time when we were sitting in Himalayas, we were on a trip to Himalayas, we were sitting right next to the Ganga, and it was such a beautiful evening. The sun was setting and very quiet moment. Swamiji was sitting on the terrace, and we were all like 80 of us sitting just right next to him. He was sitting in a chair and we're sitting right next to him. Very silent moment. And Swamiji said, look, all of you are here. You've all given enough to me that I can give you the truth straight away. He said the fastest path to enlightenment is surrender. Just surrender. And that will take care of everything. And then somebody asked there, Swamiji, but if you surrender, won't people take advantage of us? And with the most kindest voice, Swamiji told her, Ma, you have nothing worth taking advantage of. And that is the real truth. We all have nothing worth. We think we have this money. We think we have this stuff. All of this is like waves in the ocean playing, saying that a sand is my property, right? It is, everything belongs to the cosmos. Nothing really belongs to us. And this idea of surrender goes beyond this idea of possession. And wealth is true wealth without possession. And we really only understand that when we go be with Swamiji. Mahamuktika, you want to share something?
Yes, I actually wanted to add this, and I think another person here had also shared that I think saying yes, and along with saying yes and the surrender, from within, I think the context and the space needs to be that this is my priority of my life. I think if we say that enough number of times, our entire being will align itself to this purpose. It has to become something that you are so conscious, you're so awareness-filled that you're saying, I have to make this happen. There is no other thing out there. That is that space that people need to experience to make it. In fact, I would say that when Sri Mukta and myself, started the journey, and there was a point where I didn't even know that we had become Sarvajnapeetam Yajamans, and I was like, what? But then there was what I felt, and I truly have to say this is there was no resistance, there was no feeling of, oh my God, what would happen? It is just a matter of saying, oh, okay. So it's how your heart connects to that purpose, how your heart understands that this is absolutely needed, and not just for you, but for the world. It is how the world and how each and every being is going to benefit. And I very clearly remember saying, when we came to LA, and at that time there was a Swamiji had shared that there was this prophecy, or what was shared with him is in Los Angeles, for example, one of the biggest Sarvajnapeetams that Swamiji has established is this space is meant to be a powerful pilgrimage center. It is meant to be the space where millions and millions who have been born before him, who have been born along with him and after him, are going to come to experience their enlightenment and liberation. You have to understand that this entire cosmos is meant to experience enlightenment and liberation. And Swamiji is here for each and every one of us. We have taken birth. We have come to this planet. We have come to experience our journey for that sole purpose. When the purpose is critical and vital for how you function and how you understand that the Sarvajnapeetam that Swamiji is establishing all over the world and KAILASA is meant for this, for each and every being, then this cannot be anything other than your main purpose of your life. It has to be that level of commitment to your journey and to the support you're going to give for others' journey.
Yeah, great, Ma. Thank you so much. I wanted to share something. Swamiji, one of the questions about being in debt, right? So Swamiji has said in the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, he shared in Devi Parashakti reading that you cannot take loan to give charity. It's a very clear statement. Okay. Ma Nithyananda Pradayini Ananda says, thank you all for the powerful clicks. Thank you, Ma, for sharing. Claire Lang says, thank you for answering. Ma Nitya Atma Prema says, quote, contribute to feel wealthy. That's a great click. Thank you. Roshni Ma Sevika says, yes, Ma, what a click. Great. I'm glad so many people got some clicks. Susan Soledar says, thank you for hosting this. It's a blessing. I have started the SJP Karta journey by the grace and boon of Swamiji. I love this surrender process that we have been called to. Nithyananda. That's awesome. Wesen Tekeste says that was powerful. Wow. Awesome. So thank you. This is a great session. A couple of things I want to say. We're going through why we have to become SJP. Reason number 9 for being an SJP is being an SJP is being like a king or a queen, right? In olden days, the Raja Guru, the enlightened master, used to be the one ruling the nation, like the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. He is the one showing the light for the nation, for the entire cosmos. And the king or the queen used to be the sponsor. They used to support what the Raja Guru is doing, the Guru, Jagat Guru is doing. So right now we have this avatar incarnation in our midst who is showing the world, who's leading the world. Each and every one of us who supports this mission, you are the king and the queen supporting that mission. So feel proud that you are the king or the queen supporting the mission of this Jagat Guru, of this avatar, which is such an important goal for all of us. Watashi is saying, can I ask for a blessing from Swamiji? Absolutely. Viewers can ask for a blessing to become SJP during live darshan in Paramashivam 3 program. Anybody who comes there and asks a question, Swamiji himself will give an answer. And the next session is starting on August 30th. Anne-Marie Kasu says, what did you say last? Sri Mukta, I didn't understand what the conclusion was. Sorry, Ma, I don't understand which point you referred to. I don't remember which point you referred to, but we'll repeat things again. Essentially, I think what we were saying is we're all kings and queens. Essentially, becoming a Sarvajnapeeta is your decision to become the king or the queen. That's all it is. Right? So decide to become royalty. Live like royalty. In fact, one of the ways, the last reason, or one of the reason number 9 is SJP is being immortal. right? What does Swamiji want? In fact, he wants all Sarvajnapeetam Yajamans to actually wear crowns. He's making crowns for everybody. Some of us have already received it. The others are yet to receive. It's in the process of being made. And yes, Peter is sharing his crown. Let me add Peter to the spotlight so everybody can see. Awesome. So Peter has already received his crown. Essentially, this is exactly what Swamiji is signifying. We're all kings and queens, right? Wear the crown proudly and be this person who is supporting the world, right? And in fact, more than that, the way Swamiji is going to deify Sarvajnapeetam is essentially every temple will have, like the golden temple that Swamiji is building, will have pillars with the images of Sarvajnapeetam Yajamans and manifested Yajamans and Kartas actually in stone. And each of them will be deified by Swamiji so that they'll stay on forever, right? So SJP is a way for you to become immortal, to be very honest. And part of becoming SJP is also, thank you, Peter, that's so lovely. I think I want all of us to feel like this, feel royal, and feel that we are the kings and queens and Swamiji is showering everything on us. And if you want this feeling, just immediately commit to becoming an SJP right now. That's awesome. So the last reason, Marupa says, I got my crown too, I'll wear mine. Awesome. Thank you, Ma. I think she's gone to get her crown. That's awesome. The last reason I wanted to share why we should become SJP is about leaving a legacy, right? This is such an important thing. What does legacy mean? Legacy means, what does it mean? What do we leave behind in this world? And the answer is directly related to Sri Kailasa. Simple question, simple example. We're all founding fathers. The SJPs are founding fathers or mothers of Sri Kailasa. Swamiji is the reviver, and we are supporting them. And those who supported Sri Krishna thousands of years ago are even today remembered, right? So that is what each of you, oh great, Ma Rupa got her crown. Great. That's beautiful. A lot of people are, excited about the crown. Alicia Morrissey is saying, beautiful crown. Mel Cook saying, wow, royalty. Purna Pandalikar says, King Peter. Yes, Queen Rupa. Yeah, so I think the key thing is we are leaving a legacy. Okay. Legacy for our children, legacy for the world. And what does it mean? We are supporting this nation of Kailasa, which is so important for the world. And Sri Kailasa is not only preserving and spreading the science of enlightenment to the world, it is also demonstrating that oneness as a principle can work in this real world. Third, there are 108 Sri Kailasa Uniting Nations, initiatives, each of them working towards a different goal. Each of them unique, valuable, and I'm not even going to say important, because important makes it too simple. It's actually crucial. It's extremely critical for the world. These initiatives are critical for the world. Like No Hungry Home Project. Till now, about 2 billion meals have been served through Swamiji's No Hungry Home Project. Swamiji's collected all these invaluable, through the Jnanalaya project, he's collected all the scriptures. Millions and millions of old Hindu scriptures were actually written on palm leaves, and they are in such bad state. It's all like broken now. Swamiji's collected over 2 million of these palm leaves, digitized them and put them online and available free for everybody to do research. And close to 1.5 petabytes of Hindu scriptures are collected by Swamiji for everybody to use. So he's protecting the science of enlightenment from the original stage for everybody to do research. His revival of Gurukul, which is one of the most important institutions that is preserving the science of enlightenment, creating enlightened masters for the future. And through that, Swamiji has demonstrated how youth can be, converted from ordinary human beings to divine beings. And many of you know the work that's been done in Gurukul in terms of education. Children come in as ordinary kids, and within 2 years, about 35% of them are testing at genius levels, IQ of, I think, 130 or higher, which is like maybe gifted. And almost all of them are testing at their intellectual age is almost 2 to 3 years ahead of their physical age, which is a huge shift in education. So, and the amount of work that Swamiji has done for education is invaluable. Then the equality, making sure that women are equal in religion. So the work that Swamiji has done for gender equality, allowing women to be priests, allowing women to be monks, reviving that old lineages, the old practices where women are revered, divine consciousness is revered, creating programs which are microfinancing programs for women to make them independent, vocational training programs for women, establishing women-only universities which are funded by women, run by women, for women. This is one of the main reasons why Swamiji has been persecuted over 2 decades, because he's fought tirelessly for the equality of women in religion. So all that work, the important work that Swamiji is doing via meditation of over 4 billion minutes via Minutes for Meditation program, bringing bringing world peace, different religions together for world peace. The amount of work that he has done, and for that he's received so many awards, rewards, recognitions all over the world. Sri Kailasa as a nation has diplomatic relationships with over 34 different cities, states, countries all around the world. Because countries and cities are recognizing the contribution that Sri Kailasa is making to the world. Over 200 different jurisdictions have acknowledged Swamiji's contribution, and they have declared January 3rd as Paramahamsa Nithyananda Day, Sri Nithyananda Day, right? And declaring that it's important for the world. So I think what Swamiji has done for the world and what Sri Kailasa is doing for the world is just enormous. And becoming SJP is becoming a part of that, contributing to the world. See, right now, Sri Kailasa has sovereign land. If we want to open that sovereign land, which is where Swamiji is, if that sovereign land to be open to everybody, what needs to be done? There is a huge infrastructure needs to be developed. And that is what SJP, Yajamans and Kartas and manifestors are doing. We are supporting the opening of Kailasa for everybody so that Swamiji can invite people there and start contributing to the whole world at the next level, right? So if any of you feel you want Sri Kailasa, Maha Kailasa to be open today for people to visit, immediately start contributing, because this is how we're going to get there. We're going to bring the whole nation to Kailasa, the whole world to Kailasa, and which benefits everybody. So how many other people can commit right now? Commit immediately. Go to the link that you're seeing on YouTube and commit right away. Part of leaving a legacy, right? I wanted Ma Muktika to say a little bit about what does it mean for our children. The children are our future. So a little bit about what does it mean for our children and what does it mean for our future.
Yes. One of the things that I strongly felt, and especially after meeting with so many different people from all walks of life, the Hindu leaders, the various entrepreneurs, community leaders, and others, there is a need for a strong space, a strong world and a sense of togetherness with which we work towards it. That needs to happen, which means leaving a legacy for not just our children, the next generation, but for generations to come. What Sri Kailasa stands for and what the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, is working towards tirelessly, is to ensure that for generations, means thousands of years, the foundation is laid so strong that it brings down the suffering. There is success, there is fulfillment, there is a sense of accomplishment, there is, the world benefits from what they are meant to do. The world benefits from each and every action. So Sanatana Hindu Dharma has so much to offer. It is the most ancient tradition and religion. There is so much of wealth of knowledge, what can be applied by us, by our future generations, to benefit and have a very, very, very fulfilled life. It is our responsibility today to lay these foundation stones, and which is exactly what Swamiji is doing through Sri Kailasa. Sri Kailasa stands as a symbol, as is a space, it is a nation which is meant to support the entire world. It is meant to lay the foundation for the entire world. And this is a legacy that we get to leave for the next several generations. If we think of Mahabharata, if you think of, the Bhagavad Gita, which in fact is the preamble to the constitution of Sri Kailasa, the nation, right? When you think of the wealth of knowledge and how people use it today, so many thousands of years after Sri Krishna has given, Sri Kailasa is a phenomenal space and a phenomenal, it's the nation that supports and brings hope to the world. It is that space and that nation that we need to support, that we need to be a part of, and ensure that the legacy is left for generations and generations to come. And it starts with us understanding that this is a priority for us, that this is our responsibility and the space of responsibilism that we carry for ourselves and the world. And it starts today with our yes and with our active participation, our involvement, our participation, our activism, and our support that we give each other as we implement what Swamiji is sharing, what Sri Kailasa stands for, will reap the fruits that is needed by the world today, to bring everybody to a space of oneness, to bring everybody to experience completion, to experience fulfillment and success. This is an absolute necessity today. And it is our space of gratitude and our space of devotion that brings us to taking Swamiji's vision, making it our mission, and seeing how the world benefits by, Mahakailasa being open to the entire world. And I invite everybody to jump in today with the sense of, yes, I get it. Yes, I want to be a part of it. Yes, I want to experience this manifestation. And I want to be one of the first people landing and setting foot on Mahakailasa as part of the entire devotees, entire world. In fact, just last week, I was speaking to somebody, one of the community leaders around here. He came up to me in one of the events. He took the book that I had about what Kailasa is all about. He came and took it from me and he said, I want to go to Kailasa, not that Kailasa, but this Kailasa. And let me know and I will be there. See, that is the space that people are looking for. They are curious. People want to know. It is about us reaching out. It is about setting the space, being involved and making it happen. And it is so exciting. It is so fulfilling when you hear somebody else also come up and share with you saying, I want to truly know what Kailasa is. What can it do for me? And what can it do for the world? Because remember, it starts with hope. And Kailasa brings hope to the world. And people are recognizing this, people know it, and people are ready for it. I'll encourage all of you to come and be a part of this and say how we can make this happen together. It's simply beautiful. That's what I wanted to share, Srimukta.
Awesome, man. Thank you. I believe some people are facing a problem filling out the form. Very often I heard that the problem can happen when you don't fill the date, month, and year properly. It's like date in two numbers, DD, MM, YY. Did I say it right? Yes. So date in two digits, month in 2 digits, and year in 4 digits. I think that's how you fill out. That's the proper format. Also, I believe we are going to, let me see if I can share. Yeah, there you go. Here is a screen share on how to fill out the form. So you can fill out the form. You can say, what is your current status? Are you giving only an intention? Are you a manifester? Are you an Yajaman? You can click that. Then what is the amount you want to take towards the next SJP? Then the date should be in this format. 27, that is the date. Month in like 3 letters. And then the year in 4 letters, 4 digits. Sorry, I don't know why it's this restrictive, but that's how it is. And if you don't enter it properly, it may give you enter a valid date. And the rest are easy. When do you expect to complete your SJP? That is a way for you to place your intention to the cosmos to say how quickly you want to become SJP. And then how do you envision to complete your SJP? That's just a way for you to kind of think about how you're going to do it and talk about what are the obstacles you have to overcome them. One of the ways in which is when you place an intention, you want to become an SJP, that intention itself makes it like you leave it at Swamiji's feet and say, I have this intention, Swamiji, I have this obstacle. I leave it at your feet and now please take care of it. And Swamiji beautifully removes that obstacles for you. Then will you be able to attend any of the SJP manifestation personal guidance session? Actually, there are sessions. Think of this as if you're an SJP manifester, you get personal guidance on how to grow, right? How to grow spiritually. Part of which is how to grow your wealth. And the causing team, Sri Amrita and others actually conduct these sessions regularly. And also you can say which time suits for you. We can accommodate people from all over the world. Okay. So yeah, great. Please fill out this form right away and just jump in. It's a great opportunity for you to get your mind out of the way and jump into this whole process, supporting the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism in taking the world, elevating the consciousness of the world, right? Ushering in the era of super consciousness into the world. Evolving humanity to the next level. That is essentially what Swamiji is doing. Okay, great. So, anything else? I'm just trying to check if there are any other messages. Great. Thank you all. We had such a beautiful panel. Thank you everybody for participating, jumping in, answering all the questions. I hope everyone found this session inspiring and useful and inspired you to go to the next step. Don't wait. Like I said, jump in. And such a great thank you for Swamiji for this opportunity to talk about the beauty of being in love with Swamiji. I just don't know how else to express it. It is a pleasure, a joy that happens every moment. Everything I see around me reminds me of Swamiji and being in love with him and living a life with Swamiji. And everything we do in return is just a flow of gratitude from our side. Let's express that gratitude on a daily basis. Let's jump in and be part of his mission. Okay, let's end with a Purna Mantra.
I just wanted to add, Srimukta, that as a family, we have immensely benefited just by his blessings, and with so much of joy and so much of powerful cognitions that even our children have been, experiencing, the level of fulfillment and completion. In fact, my son is able to go and share and help others in college and others with completion, with being the support that others need in this material world. Help yourself, help your children, help your community become powerful. And the way to do it is to come on board, to say yes, and be a part of Sri Kailasa. Become a Sarvajnapeetam Yajaman and a Karta. Understand how you are setting the wheels, how you're flowing with life, how you're flowing with Swamiji, and just saying yes and seeing how he shows you the world beyond you. It's an experience that goes beyond words. It is an experience that you need to experience. And it is time for you to start sharing your story of transformation, fulfillment, that happiness, abundance, and prosperity with the rest of the world. You have heard from all of us. It is time for the world to hear from you how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, how Sri Kailasa has made you who you are and how you are ready to help others. So I invite everybody, and I thank all the panel members along with Chubutta for such an amazing, amazing sharing. Let's take this forward. Thank you.
Awesome. I want to the last end this by asking everybody, all of you who are watching, either on Zoom or YouTube, if you feel grateful for everything you received from Swamiji, and if you feel that what he's doing for the world is absolutely essential, raise your hand. And if you feel fortunate that you've been here and benefited from that, if you raised your hand, then immediately make a contribution, right? Immediately jump in and be part of the Sarvajnapeetam, make that next contribution. Then there are people who feel grateful, but then you feel insecurity, right? How many of you feel that way? Have a little bit of insecurity? Raise your hand. I see many people raise their hands. Now, all of you who raised your hands, drop that insecurity at Swamiji's feet and immediately make a commitment. Just drop it at his feet. Because insecurity is just your mind's way of playing with you, with your spiritual growth. So, and anybody else, any other obstacles you face, decide to drop that obstacle at Swamiji's feet and then take the leap. And write your name down in the chat saying, I have insecurity, I have obstacles, but still I have decided to take the leap. Share this with everybody. Let the world know that you have taken the leap and you are now standing up for Kailasa to make this world evolve into the next level. Okay, please make that decision and enter your name in your chat and share it with everybody. Great. Let's end with a Purna Mantra. It's such a great opportunity to talk to all of you. Thank you. Let's end with a Purna Mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Bhagavat Shri Nithyananda Paramashiva Padukarpanamastu. Om Nithyanandam. Thank you all. Nithyanandam.